Here are 3 ways to improve on your drawing skills. 2 of them are strategies. 2 of them are ways we can work to improve our drawing skills more efficiently, to make better use of our time doing things that will actually bring benefit to the way our drawings look. And the third one is actually a genuine hack. The word hack is used pretty broadly, but in essence, a hack really is a shortcut. It's a fast tracking, it's a breaking into the process at the end to speed up achieving the results. But we'll deal with that third. And the first strategy is to identify the weak areas, identify how I need to improve my drawing skills. Now, this isn't as easy as it sounds. If I'm generally unhappy with how my drawings look, it's easy to go, oh, everything's hopeless, I'm terrible, there's nothing there that's any good. But the truth is, there will be some areas that are weaker than others. And they're the ones maybe we should work on. Or maybe there are areas that aren't as weak as the others, but they've still got problems, and perhaps they're the ones we should work on. Because then we can get some areas of our drawing much improved more easily, and that may give us a better foundation. But whichever way we want to work it, identifying which areas of our drawing are weak is the starting point. Because I simply can't work on everything all at once. I have to give myself a focus so that instead of continuing to do a lot of things poorly, even if I'll continue to do some things poorly for a while, there are some things I'm going to start to concentrate on and improve. And they are going to be a foundation for further improvement and for my own encouragement. The sorts of areas that we could be weak in our drawings are things like proportions, perspective, hatching. Perhaps our line work is heavy and stiff and wooden, and line work is something we want to work on. Perhaps we don't have a sense of realism that we want to capture. Perhaps our people always look awkward. Possibly my trees look childish or just unrealistic. Perhaps I struggle with textures, with things such as grass. Maybe it's my values, maybe it's my lights and darks. And somehow I can't make them more dramatic. And my drawings, my scenes just end up being filled with a lot of mid-grey values. Perhaps my drawings never stay on the paper. They go off at the top or the side. I just can't seem to position them and draw them so that when they're finished, they have fit on the paper nicely. It doesn't matter which of these we identify. The important thing is to identify them so that we can work on them separately. When we work on something separately, specifically, it's far easier to be focused in our time, far easier to do any research that we need to look to see how other artists solve the problem that I have in drawing grass or trees, or the ways in which they draw people. Or it means I can concentrate on just looking up information about what is perspective. How can I understand it? How is it relevant to me as a drawing artist? And instead of being overwhelmed with a lot of things all at once that we can't manage to get on top of any of them, and so our drawings continue to look weak in the same ways, I focus down and I can get more results more easily, more quickly. And that's encouraging. My second strategy is to work small. Now, if I'm focusing on a certain weak area, then what I draw obviously needs to involve in some way that weak area. If my problem is drawing trees, then I might practice just drawing trees as single items, single objects. But as well as focusing on what I'm doing, staying small, relatively small, I don't mean ridiculously tiny, but relatively small, lets me, if you like, go through the process of that object from start to finish more quickly. And the quicker I can do it, I don't mean rushing, but simply the shorter the time I can work through the process of drawing a tree, then the sooner I can start that cycle again. And it's by repeating this cycle of starting and finishing drawing a tree in a thoughtful, considered, self-critiquing way the more rapidly I can build on what I see and learn in my drawings and outside information or inspiration I've also been able to collect in that time, and put it into practice and evaluate how I've put it into practice and work out, is this the way I need to go? Is this the way I want to go? Or whether I need to look for more information. And particularly if my normal scale of drawing is relatively large, and by that I mean perhaps an A4 copy paper size, going to half that size or sometimes even smaller can really help us just work basically on the things that I need to work on in a very concentrated way. And it also keeps my focus on what I'm working on at this point, because I try not to work on other things. I'm not trying to do drawings. I'm trying to improve my skills, and I need to separate the skills in my mind from a finished drawing, because I don't want to be using up my time doing the other things that I'm not working on right now that are needed for a drawing, particularly if some of those things are significant problem areas for me still, because then I'm only reinforcing that. Now, there are some drawing skills that really can't properly be developed on a very small scale. So we need to find the size that enables us to work on the skills we're wanting to work on. But as far as is practical, we should keep it smaller rather than larger to speed up that start to finish cycle where I try something, I do it, I critique it, I plan what I need to do for the next cycle, and then I start the next cycle, and I keep that on loop until I start to see the improvement in my drawing skills that I'm after. So here's the hack. But if you're finding this interesting, please hit the like button now while I go back in the house. And here's the hack. It's our printer. Whatever printer we've got. One of the advantages of just working on certain parts of our drawing or certain skills in our drawing is that we can use the printer to fast track this process so that we can just concentrate on drawing the part that we need to draw, that we're wanting to draw, and not spend time drawing other parts. We can do it once and let the printer do the rest. Let the printer provide us with lots of copies that we can always start at the skill we're wanting to develop and not spend time doing, if you like, the framework for it. Let's say I'm wanting to work on how I represent brickwork in the buildings I like to draw. This can be a real problem area. So I draw, or at some stage of a drawing, I take a photo at this stage, and now I can print it off and I can endlessly practice my brick texture, technique, representation without having to go through the effort of doing the drawing to begin with. It's the same with hatching and cross-hatching. I can become really adventurous in experimenting with extreme hatching scenes if I don't have to keep going through the burden, the process of drawing the outline. And I can really take risks now because it's really sped up the process. I can go really dark or do extreme contrasts perhaps more easily psychologically because I'm not afraid of wrecking something I've done. Perhaps my problem is that I'm okay with the main subject, but with the foreground and background and the surrounding things, I don't do so well. So I can print off copies of the main subject. So I haven't got to keep drawing that. Now I can just work on the parts, the surrounding parts that I can see I'm weaker in. What about using sketch markers? There's a skill. How do we know how dark to go, how they layer on each other, what effects we can create? There's a wide range of options with every scene we go to use them on. How light, how dark, what mid-ranges and so forth. Again, we can use our printer to fast track this process and to take the pressure off us and make us free to experiment. It really is a valuable hack. It really is a hack in the true sense of the word. It's a shortcut, but it doesn't compromise the result we're going to get. G'day, I'm Stephen Travers. I hope you found these strategies, this hack, helpful in planning your drawing improvement. We all want to improve, and there is no way apart from doing the work and doing the thoughtful thinking, planning, strategizing. But we can do it in cleverer ways that do give us the results that we're after. And I hope these thoughts have been helpful for you in that respect. But look, whatever you draw, however you draw it, make sure you have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.